Sounds fun. So you're growing this business, you become profitable. I'm assuming you made some hires in that first year. What were the first key hires that you made?
Yeah, about 7, 8 months in, I hired someone to help me with customer service. So just a little context, we had two kind of customers essentially. One of those customers were people that like buying, things at a discount. And so we had like 30, 40,000 of those. And so I was at one point doing customer service for those as well as the Amazon sellers. So anyways, hired a customer service rep to do that. And then my second hire was I hired someone to start writing Amazon listings, and we had kind of learned how to do that together. And then my third hire was someone to help more operationally, essentially.
So what do you look for when you're hiring people? You've obviously hired a lot of people now, and I know you have an HR department, but
Yeah.
do you have a certain type of person that you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing that at least I am looking for is, well, there's two main things that I'm looking for. Number one is obviously like, usually I would classify it as accomplishments. So, that's cool if you're great at writing, let's say. But what I want to understand is how your writing actually translated into like real results, essentially. And so being able to show those results is super powerful. Number two is just like passion. So one of our first hires was a developer, and he was like, he had a blog on coding, and like you can see that it's the things that people do outside of their 9 to 5, outside of their college, like whatever it is that shows like their passion in the subject. And when you see that, then these people are really experts, and or they're going to do whatever it takes to become an expert.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So have you had bad hires along the way? Any failure that sticks out that would be a good story to share?
Yeah, so we've obviously had, so yeah, for those of you who don't know, we're about 70 employees now. And so through that, we have definitely made some bad hires. I will say that if I look back, the number one trait is lack of self-awareness. Like self-awareness is so important, because if people aren't self-aware, they don't know that they're not fitting in, or they don't know that they're not hitting the expectations. That's super dangerous, right?
Right.
So I would say lack of awareness. No, number two is like, pay attention to everything. We once hired this girl who she came in, she was kind of sassy in the interview, and she was talking about how she was kind of sassy to her boss or whatever. And we ended up making the hire anyways. And then, yeah, sure enough, this had like come up multiple times. And so that was early days, and that was just a huge learning experience. Like, okay, yeah, we saw this in the interview. We could have avoided this. We need to pay attention to those kinds of things.
Right. So I'm assuming managing and leading and motivating 5 to 10 people is way different than doing it across 70, 75 people.
Yeah.
How do you even begin to manage that many people?
And this is something I'm still learning, obviously. So the biggest answer is that I've hired some leadership around me that has the experience doing this. And like, I'm someone that recognizes I don't have experience. I really appreciate experience. And so, I have a whole executive team now of people like our COO and president. His last company, he was CEO of 1,300 employees, right? So like trying to bring on people, because I would not be able to do this without them, is number one. Number two, the biggest thing is honestly communication, because everyone assumes, it doesn't matter how much goodwill you build with someone, everyone assumes the wrong things at some point. And great communication is going to help everyone understand, why you're making the decisions that you are, and really kind of get rid of those assumptions. And then number three is just having some good like structure so that people know what they're owning. If people don't have something that they own, then it's really uncomfortable for people, and which isn't exactly my personality. But having that ownership is so important. They know what they're being judged by. They know what to chase after, and they're going to be so much more effective, because people want to do a good job. It's just important for them to know what doing a good job really looks like.
I love it. And I think the listeners, they want to hear that. A lot of people listening, they've either made bad hires, or they're struggling to motivate and get on the same page with those people. Let's say someone's listening and they do over $1 million a year. You work with a lot of big sellers. What advice can you give them to scale their business even more?
Yeah. So number one, I see people get stuck in the $1 to $5 million mark. Number one is build a team. So many people get to that $1 million mark or $3 million mark or whatever it may be by themselves. And so they try to continue to do it themselves. And building a team is so, so important. You have to be outsourcing different components, or else you just won't be able to scale. So that's a huge mistake that I see people make, is they're not willing to hire, and maybe they tried hiring someone and it didn't really work out, but or people are like, well, no one can do it as well as me. And I get those things, but if you really want to be able to scale your business, you're going to have to learn how to hire the right people and, hand tasks off to them essentially, or core responsibilities. Number two is that I see a lot of people at this stage start focusing on getting off of Amazon. And in theory, I 100% agree. The problem is it's so much